Welcome to the Shiur of Sefard and North. This is going to be a fundamental Shiur, a fundamental class, which is based on this yesod, on this foundation, that there is definitely a difference between the outlook of Sefard and Ashkenaz. When I say Sefard, I mean, let's just call it the Middle Eastern countries, the countries that were under the Muslim influence. And Ashkenaz would be those countries in general. We're talking about France and Germany and a little from England. So that's basically the difference. Sefard would be Spain, would be the Middle Eastern countries, North Africa, Morocco, and Iraq, Tunisia, all these different places. So it depends really where you lived. You have a different outlook when it came to psak din, when it came to determining what the halacha is. And people really don't realize this, and especially that we are learning halacha. If you're learning for smicha, this should be something that you have in mind. In other words, you have a mefarish, you have the Shach or the Taz or the Rambam or the Rif or the Ran. You should really know, where are they coming from? What is their hashkafa when it comes to halacha? And that's what we're going to be covering in today's shiur. So this is the outline that we have. And starting from now, we'll be using different tools in order to give over the shiur. And I was very excited because I did have the Sefer, was working on the Sefer on the Rambam. So at that time I used Otsar HaChachmah. I don't think I would have managed without it. And Otsar HaChachmah is a wonderful, wonderful tool. So while we're giving the shiur, you're also going to be able to see the different aspects of how I'm using it. I'm not completely familiar with everything. However, as we go along this year, it's going to be pretty exciting. We'll be able to learn more about how to use Otsar HaChachmah. Many yeshivas, they do have this, and it's a wonderful tool. I think the motto, my motto at least, is Ten l'chacham v'yechkam oid. In other words, I'm giving you a little. However, based on this, what I'm giving you, I'm more like a coach and helping you out in order that you should continue on this wonderful Torah journey yourself. So this is one tool that I'll be using in the future. Another tool is what is called the Bar Illan. So the difference between the Otsar HaChachmah, for example, the Otsar HaChachmah, in a way, Segans Geschmack, you're seeing actually the Sefer. It's not just words. So you could see what's inside the Sefer. You could see how it's laid out. In addition, you could have different views. Let's say I want to just view the title page, so I could see the title page. It's incredible work. This person who wrote Av B'Chachma, I guess he merited that he was able to have the first sefer over here, and it always shows up his sefer Av B'Chachmah goes according to alphabetical order. So that is Otsar HaChachmah. We'll be using a lot of that. In contrast to that, however, you have the Bar Illan, and that's when you're just looking at text. You could choose your database, and you could be searching things, but whatever you're going to be searching for, let's say you're going to search for the Rambam and the Maharam of Rambam. So whatever you're searching for, you're only going to have text, and it's easier to work with if you're looking for particular text. For example, we mentioned Ten l'chacham v'yechkam. You have to be able to spell it right. If you miss it, v'yechkam. So you go like this. Not all the databases are active. Let me make them all active. Let me search all databases, and comes up here. No matches were found. You could have variant forms, meaning let's go like this, and then we should come up with something. And once again, let's just do LeChachma. There you go. We have this. Okay. So we have all these different searches, and here are the results for Otsar HaChachmah. So basically, this is what we're looking at, and you could always see the reference over here. But this is the second tool that we'll be using, is Bar Ilan. And the third tool, we could say is a tool, is actually Wikipedia. We'll be using a lot of that, is searching on the internet. Sometimes we'll put up the English, other times we're going to put up the Hebrew. What's really nice about Wikipedia, let me go over here to, for example, I'll give you an example. Here in Otsar HaChachmah, you find one of the authors is Harav Simcha Asaf. So you find additional information about him. In the Hebrew Wikipedia, you're probably going to get more than the English. But what's really nice about these are the external links that we have. And this is really the Ten L'Chacham V'Yech Kam Oid, that you'll be able to see all the different Svarim that he writes. And a lot of them are posted in Hebrew books. So that's the idea. It's a journey. You go from one thing to another using these tools. And if in the olden days, if they had these tools, it would be unbelievable how much more they would be able to have at their fingertips. In other words, let's say someone's writing a sefer and he wants to do research on a particular sefer. So he would have to spend so much money, have to go to the libraries. It could take years till they get the information. Nowadays, within a couple seconds, with a couple clicks of a button, you have this information available for us. And besides the many shiurim that are online. But I digress. Let's go back to the synopsis, what we are talking about over here. And in this shiur, we're definitely not going to finish everything, but let us continue. So what is the basic difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz when it comes to the tkufa of the Geonim, the era of the Geonim? We have, let me go over here in Wikipedia. We'll go to open up a new tab, and let's write over here Geonim. We have the era, looking for the map. Okay, so we have the era of the Geonim. So we have the Tanaim, the authors of the Mishnah, the Amoraim, the authors of the Gemara. Here it is in the years. Savoraim, that was for a much shorter period, and they're the ones who, so to say, reviewed or edited the Gemara. According to the Meiri writes actually the first, I'm not sure, the first daf or the first amud of Maseches Kedushin was actually written by the Savoraim. And definitely they made it more clear for us. That was the Tkufa of the Savoraim. Or they made it into Svara, made it more logical. So that's the era of the Savoraim. We don't hear much about them. But the era of the Geonim, let's say, finishes around 1000. So we could say, it's said the last of the Geonim is Rav Hai Gaon. Rav Hai Gaon is called the Achron Shebegeonim Bizman, Avol Rishon B'Maila, something like that. That he was the last one in the time, but he was the highest caliber of all the Geonim. So that's Rav Hai Gaon. So in order to understand this, we have to give you a little background of what was going on during the time of the Geonim. We're going to go back to this. Right now is just a synopsis of what we're saying. The bottom line is that the Geonim were in Bavel, and they received many questions, and the questions came from all over. So my question is, it's not really my question, it's based on sources that I have. that why is it that we find that the Geonim of Bavel and Sura and Pumbedisa, they received many questions throughout the world. However, that mainly came from the lands of Sefard and North Africa. Why do we not find that they received questions from Ashkenaz, from Germany, and from France? That's the first topic, and it's a question. And these are all linked one with the other. The next thing, this is based on my own thought, and I don't know if it's correct or not, but I really do have a feeling that it is correct. We all know the story of the Maharam of Rutenberg. He was the Rebbe of the Rosh, Rabbi Asher ben Yechiel, and he was located in Germany. And we'll bring up his information soon. So we know that he was in jail, and they wanted to keep him in jail because they were ransoming him for an exorbitant amount of money. So while he was in jail, he actually passed away in jail. So it's a terrible thing that happened. He was the Nasi. He was the Manig b'Yisrael, at least in Ashkenaz. It started off, let's say, Rabbeinu Gershom was the first one, and he was basically the last one. So the fact that he went to jail was a terrible, terrible thing. L'cha'ira, you would think. However, based on this shiur, we'd like to say there is an aspect of Gamzu L'Taiva. It was for the benefit of Klal Yisrael, believe it or not, that he was put into jail. Next, we're going to talk about Rabbi Asher ben Yechiel, who was the Talmud of the Maharam of Rutenberg. And he was very interesting in the way that he was a Paisek. We have his explanation in the back of the Gemara. We'll talk briefly about it. Once again, during this Shiurim of Sefard and we're going to talk about each of these people at length. It could be Rabbi Asher ben Yechiel. The Rosh is going to take us 3 or 4 hours to finish, maybe 3 or 4 Shiurim to talk about him. But anyways, back to this. Rabbi Asher ben Yechiel, the Rosh, known as the Rosh, he was a Talmud of the Maharam of Rutenberg, and he was unique in the fact that he was the one Paisek that had both qualities. He was Ashkenaz and Sefard. So what happened? Basically, people like the word basically nowadays. They're like basically and like and all these different things. I'm trying to stay away from that, but I guess I can't help myself. Anyways, back to this. Reb Asher ben Yechiel, the Rosh, was the Talmud, was a student of Maharam of Rutenberg. Maharam of Rutenberg was put into jail. Rutenberg is a city in Germany. He was thrown into jail because the government wanted to extract a lot of money from him, and they knew that since he was so influential, therefore, many people, Jewish people, his followers, would pay the ransom. But there's a book by Marcus Lehman called Unpaid Ransom, and most of it is fictional, but it's based on some truth, if I'm not mistaken. I think he says the Rosh was a son-in-law of the Maharam of Rutenberg, which is absolutely incorrect. I'm not sure if that is correct, but that's a different story with Marcus Lehman. He wasn't writing non-fiction books. He was writing books that were based on non-fiction, but they were basically fictional books, so you can't really use it as a source. Anyways, the Maharam of Rutenberg was thrown into jail, and Rabbi Asher ben Yechiel saw the writing on the wall. He knew that he was next, so he, together with his family, moved from Ashkenaz, from Germany. They moved to Spain, and he, together with his family, spent many years in Spain. Okay, so he is unique in the fact that he has both within him Ashkenaz, he has from Germany, he also has within him Sefard, because he went to Spain and he became a Rav in a community, I think it was Toleda, and he became a Rav in the community, so he has to deal with Sefard, but he always stayed Ashkenaz. He was proud of it. In his Shiur Teshuvos Rosh, he writes over there that I am from Ashkenaz, and I stay with my Ashkenaz tradition. That's who I am, and he was proud of it. So that's Reb Asher ben Yechiel. So we're going to find, this is the link over here between the Maharam of Rutenberg and the Baal HaTurim. So, back to this. And this all has to do with the difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz when it comes to Halacha. So now, the Rosh has a son. His name is Rabbi Yaakov, also known to us as the Baal HaTurim. The Baal HaTurim is going to play a major factor in Halacha. And he was the son of the Rosh. He was the one who wrote the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch. Let me bring this up. Otsar HaChachmah, let's see, just that we could type it in. It's going to take me a while till I become comfortable with this. But here we have Tur. Let's write over here Yaakov and see. Yeah, Rabbi Yaakov ben Asher. Well, he wrote a Pirush on the Chumash called, at least we call it Baal HaTurim. But here we have Venezia, Tfus Venezia in Venice. That's where they printed. Many Sefardim, original Sefardim. This was the beginning of the printing. That's what I'm saying. What I like about Otsar HaChachmah, because you could see even the wonderful printing that they have. So just looking at Otsar HaChachmah, I digress, but it's really interesting here. So in other words, here you have Tur Haragil, it's telling us it's the regular one, or you could have this one, this Tur, and when you bring this down, so then you could pick which chelik that you want. Here, for example, is Tur chelik Rishon. Here's chelik Sheni of Tur, and then you double-click. You could search within here, etc. Anyways, another thing, also a nice thing, is when you hover over the question mark, you can get more details about what's going on. You have here the Tur written by Yaakov ben Asher, Baal HaTurim. This was printed. This is the printing year in Varsha, in Warsaw, Tafresh Chaf Aleph, and it talks about what the subjects are over here. Anyways, so this is the Tur. So we're going back over here. Where am I holding? Sometimes when I give a shiur, usually I lose track of things and I say, no, so where am I up to? At least I have people who could remind me. Here, I guess I can't do this online. Anyways, so Rabbi Yaakov ben Asher is the one who wrote the Tur Shulchan Aruch, and that is extremely important. And it's also important to know that he was the son of the Rosh. It's very important to know. Based on our conclusion, which we'll be talking about, we can understand the difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz. We didn't really speak about what exactly is the difference, but based on our conclusion, we can understand that there is a fundamental difference, and that difference continued throughout the ages. However, at certain points they merged, they became not so extremely different one from the other. In other words, let's say nowadays you could walk into a Sephardic yeshiva and they could be learning Ashkenaz style. So there are things that blended together. However, I would say that if we really want to understand the difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz till today, we could say that is the difference. If you look into the Shilas of Teshuvos, if you look into the responsa of Harav Ovadia Yosef, and you compare it to the responsa of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, you'll see this fundamental difference, and it's important to know. So this is all a hakdama, an introduction to what we're going to talk about today. So let us begin. Sefard and Ashkenaz. We're going to start with why do we have so many teshuvos at the time of the Geonim from Sefard, from the Middle Eastern countries, yet we hardly have any from Germany and France. And the answer is not a simple answer to say, well, maybe they weren't able to travel, they didn't have from Germany and France, people didn't come to Iraq. Let's talk a little about the Geonim. So here we have in Wikipedia, where were the Geonim located? So just briefly, we have during this period of the Geonim, they were the ones who continued the tradition of Talmud Bavli. You have Talmud Yerushalmi, Talmud Bavli. So they're located in Bavel, which is the Tanaim are from Bavel, the Amoraim, Savarim are from Bavel. The Geonim were very, very proud, and there were in general, you see I didn't use the word basically, there are in general two Mesiftas. One was located in Sura, and the other one in Pumbedisa. In each Mesifta, you had the Gaon, you had the Rosh Hashiva, and they were all homebred, we spoke about it last time, from Bavel. And what happened was that people would send questions to the Geonim, and their word was final. In other words, they sent questions, and the Geonim answered. Together with the question, they also sent money, and that's how the yeshivas survived. There was also something called Yarchei Kala, where 2 months a year, people surrounding in Bavel, in Iraq, would come to Sura, Pumbedisa. I'm wondering if we have over here Sura and Pumbedisa. If something's going to come up is maybe, here we go. Let's press tab. Shiva Sura and Pumbedisa. Okay, I don't see anything great over here. Yeshivas of Sura and Pumbedisa. Oh, actually, it's good. We have here the Rosh Hashivas, the name of the Reish Mesifta during the time of the Geonim, and even before. Very nice. So we have a list of all of the Reish Mesiftas. Most of the names you probably never hear of, but here we spoke about Rav Hai Gaon, and he was the Achron Gaonei Bavel, Rosh Hashiva Pumbedisa. He was the son of Rav Shrira Gaon. Rav Shrira Gaon is a famous name. We can talk about him a different time. So here we have the yeshivas in Pumbedisa. Look over here, look into the English Wikipedia if Hebrew is not so comfortable with Hebrew. Interesting also the names. I'm always wondering, why in the world is he called Rav Hai Gaon? What kind of name is Hai? I didn't understand that. I have a theory, and I digress, and I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong on this theory, and I should really close Outlook. So I don't know how to do this. Better not say the theory. If you know why he's called Rav Hai Gaon, please email me info@shazak.com or go on my Shazak website, and you could WhatsApp me over there. Anyway, so you have Pumbedisa, and you have Sura, and where am I holding right now? Oh, why do we have the differences? So what happened was that you have these two great Mesiftas. They were the ones who continued. They're the ones who continue the tradition of Talmud Bavli. They were the inheritors of that. So they would receive these questions. But there's something that's called, and I'm sure you heard of it, and it's called the Geniza. Let's see in Israel. The Cairo Geniza. So let's go over here. The Cairo Geniza. And there are a bunch of manuscripts there were many manuscripts in the Cairo Geniza. Solomon Schechter is known. He really didn't discover the Geniza, but this is located in Cairo, I think in Fustat. He's not the one who discovered it. By the way, his Solomon Schechter's name is Shner Zalman Schechter. But he came in the late 1800s, and thanks to him, he really had Mesiras Nefesh. He almost died being in that Geniza. That was the upstairs of the Ben Ezra Shul in Cairo, and it was dusty over there. It was terrible conditions. But he took many of these fragments of these pages, and thanks to him, we have different letters. So I digress once again. However, in the Cairo Geniza, this is where we have many different letters during the time of the Geonim, the Tkufas HaGeonim. And the interesting thing is, like we said before, that the letters come almost entirely from Spain and North Africa, but we hardly have any from Ashkenaz and from Germany and from France. When we say Ashkenaz, it includes France. In modern terminology, when there's Ashkenaz is Germany, Tzarfat is France, but in Halacha, when we say Ashkenaz, we mean Germany, France, and a bit from England. There were some Ba'ali Taisvis also from England. Let us go further. So, in order to answer the question, we're going to tell you the secret, the difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz. And once I tell you that difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz, you then will understand all the rest of these 4 points. Maharam of Rutenberg, Gamzula Taiva, the Rosh, what was unique about him, how Rabbi Yaakov ben Asher ended up writing the Tur, and a major difference between Shilos and Teshuvos. So now, I hope you're ready. Is everyone ready? I don't hear you. Obviously not. I'm not on Zoom or anything like that. I really don't like Zoom. So I'm just doing a regular broadcast over here. So, the difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz is as follows, and it's going to come out of your head if you continue watching Sefarim v'Seifrim. If you don't like it, I would advise you just stop over here and don't even go further, because I will constantly review this particular difference, the Hevdel. Here we go. There is an Ashkenaz way of thinking, and there is a Sefard way of thinking. We have the Gemara. Let me bring up the Otsar HaChachmah. We have the Gemara. We have Talmud Bavli. And anyone who learns Gemara, I assume if you're focusing on this shiur here, if you learn Gemara, here we have Talmud Bavli in Yiddish. Did you know there's a Talmud Bavli in Yiddish? Gemara in Yiddish? Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay. You have Gemara, Talmud Bavli. Let's find a Gemara just as a regular. Come on, just a regular Gemara. This is from. Okay, this is from. You'll see, Fe Dalad Mem is Frankfurt the Main. There's 2 Frankfurts. There's one Frankfurt the Oder and Frankfurt the Main. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but in English we call it Frankfurt am Main. So it's interesting. Let's see the layout over here. You have Baba Basra, you have Rashi and Tosfos. Okay, and here you have the Gemara going from one daf to the next, from one page to the next. Let me go back to my youth. I was in 4th grade maybe here in Chicago, or 6th grade or 5th grade. I don't really remember. I hardly remember anything that I learned, at least in elementary school. I think most people are like that. So, I'm learning, yes, I do remember it was Elu Metzias in Baba Metzia. Elu Metzias Shalom, and then you have all these different things. And then I'm sitting over there and waiting for my Rebbe. Okay, so now you have a question in Halacha. So let's just get to the bottom line. What's the Halacha? And I didn't understand why he really was pushing us off and not telling us the halacha. I said, why? What difference does it make? There's something in Gemara that's called Shakla V'Tarya. We all know about that. By the way, I work in Kashrus here in CRC in Chicago. So these are the emails that I'm getting on the side over here. Next time I'll turn that off. So the question is, why the Shakla V'Tarya is question and answer and Heichi Dami, and let's find out who is this Tanit. Who is this Tanit? Is he following the same view as another Tana? And goes on and on and on. And guess what? Often, but not all the time. Let's bring up Bar Illan. Let's go into search for Bar Illan and let's restart it. And let's search only the Gemara. So here we have Talmud Bavli. I'm only starting the Gemara, okay. And let's see how many times we have the word V'Hilchasa. V'Hilchasa comes up, not that many times. In other words, I have here 218 times. What did I write? V'Hilchasa? Let me try something else, just Hilchasa. Maybe it'll come up more. 717 times. Still not a lot considering about how much Gemara we have. And it's not always telling us that the halacha is like V'les Hilchasa, Loiker Rav Huna, V'loiker Rav Ashi, Hilchasa Mai. So, and sometimes the Gemara says, okay, Hilchasa Kavase de Shmuel. The halacha is like Shmuel. But most of the time it does not tell us. And therefore you have Rashi and you have Tosfos, which is a tremendous thing. So the Gemara is, as we spoke about last time, you have the Mishnah. The Mishnah is condensed, and then you have more like notes. We were talking about last time with Eis Lasses Lashem Eferu Torasecha that you can't really write down Torah Shabbal Peh, so it was more in a cryptic fashion. The Mishnah was written in a cryptic fashion. And then the Gemara is, in general, a discussion about the Mishnah, trying to figure out the Mishnah. So it's the discussion. So back to my 4th grade class, and we're learning Elu Metzias here in Chicago, in a school that used to be called Beis Yaakov, but people would laugh at that name. I have no idea why. They changed the name to Tiferes Tzvi. But, so asking the Rebbe, come on, just tell us what the halacha is. And he brushed us off. And at the end, we didn't even know what the halacha is. So I'm thinking to myself, what's this waste of time all about? What's happening over here? The answer is that according to, and I'm saying the more of the Ashkenaz hashkafa, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to learn Torah. That is the mitzvah. To daven is, davening, people think, that's the most important thing. But actually, the davening, the way we have it nowadays, a formal davening, is not minat Torah. You daven, that when you need something, when you have a crisis and you need something, you daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But regarding v'hagis, let me type in Yaimam V'layla. Because I didn't do a complete search, let me do a complete search. Search all the databases. And v'hagisa b'yaimam v'layla. You're supposed to be learning day and night. Vishinantam levanecha. You're supposed to teach to your children. Vishinantam levanecha. You're supposed to teach your children. This is a mitzvah saseh min haTorah. This is what you're supposed to do. And it may take me a little time to find. I'm soon going to tell you something fascinating. Okay. In other words, it's not, the goal is not to get to the halacha. The goal is to, which is an end in itself, is to learn Torah and to immerse yourself in Torah to such an extent that basically it doesn't even matter what the halacha is, so to say. It's to refine your mind and to be totally absorbed into, here we're talking about the words of Gemara, which is the epitome, which is the essence of Torah Shebal Peh. Let me see, hold on, and let me see if I could come up with this in Bar Illan. Milanu Gadol Mi Rashi. Okay. Hopefully, Mi Gadol Mi Rashi. Okay. Bring down in Shem Agdoilem. Okay. Brought down Yechav Das. We're speaking about Harav Avadia Yosef. So here he quotes it, Harav Avadia Yosef, but it's in Teshuvos HaRosh, Klal Nun Hey, Siman Tes. In the Teshuvos HaRosh, by the way, he uses, in Teshuvos HaRosh, it's called Klal. So we could look it up in Teshuvos HaRosh, but he does quote it over here. And this is what he says. Let's look. Is it terrible? Is it terrible to say that, you know what, this is Das Torah, for example. Some great guy said something, and this is Das Torah. And Hayitachan, it's a chutzpah to argue. Comes along the Rosh. Remember, the Rosh is Ashkenaz. And the Rosh says, what are you talking about? When it comes to Torah, Ein machnifim l'shum adam. You cannot chanfen. You cannot chanfen. I don't know how to translate. It's not in English, but you can't make somebody feel so good. You're allowed to argue with someone. And he brings down, Umi lanu gadol mi Rashi. Who's greater than Rashi? V'nechlaku alav yaitzi yerechai. Rabbeinu Tam, the Ri, Rabbeinu Yitzchak Balayatais, v'sasru devarav b'harbe mekaimas. V'yichtech b'dara kishmo b'dara. Who? He's going back to the Gemara. We have the Gemara. And it's pretty hard, if not to say impossible, to learn Gemara without Rashi. You would have no clue what's going on. But what's this on the side over here? This is the Teshuvos. Who were the Teshuvos? Altogether, let's say a group, they ended up to be 300 people. Most of them were from the family of Rashi. Most of them, let's say the Rashbam is a grandson, the Rabbeinu Tam, Rabbi Yaakov is a grandson of Rashi, and all the descendants. What do? They go ahead and they say, Pirish Bikuntris, Rashi was called a Kuntris because he was written out and it was given out in pamphlets. So Pirish Bikuntris, and they say, you know what? However, that doesn't make sense. We don't agree with it. So we're arguing with it. So it comes along. Can you think if someone gets up and can say, what are you talking about? Das Torah. How could you say such a thing? Rashi was the Geonim Shebegeonim. He was such a Ilui. How is it that you were arguing with him? And you're also the children of Rashi. You're descendants of Rashi. Comes along the Rosh and says, Of course you're allowed to do that. This is what Hashem wants. Umi lanu gadol mirashi v'nechleku alav yaitze yerechai. Rabbeinu Tam ri balei ataisvis v'sasru devarav b'harbe mekaimais. This is from Shilas Teshuvos Rosh. So this is fundamental to understand when it comes to the difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz. And I'm doing something else. I'm multitasking while I'm talking here. And the reason for that is because I want to bring up something from the Maharam of Prague. And it's not here. Hold on. It's in Sephardim. Something from the Maharam of Prague. And I think it will be in this document, short document over here. And let me do a search with the Maharam of Prague, because what he says, and I really hope that I could get it, what he says is fascinating. Let's see if we could get it. The Maharam of Prague in general was a very, very big mechanech. My opinion is if he sees the chinuch that we have in our yeshivas, he's not going to be very happy. But that's besides the point. Hopefully I'm going to find it. This is very interesting, by the way. In case I can't find it, at least we'll get this. This document is 600 pages, which I put together concerning Sefard and here he says, okay. He says, if the Mechabrim, the Rambam, and the Tur knew that their Chiburim, that their Rambam or Tur Shulchan Aruch would cause that people should stop learning the Gemara, and we would paskin from their Chiburim, so they would never have authored it in the first place. Ki yoser roi v'nachan shia poisek mitoich Talmud. It's better to give a psak din from the Gemara itself. Okay. Yes, this is it. This is what I found. By the way, we'll talk about this at a later time, but this is definitely an Ashkenaz viewpoint, saying that if it's better to paskin from the Gemara itself and not just rely on a halacha sefer, such as the Rambam or the Tur Shulchan Aruch. That's what he's saying over here. That's a very Ashkenaz statement. We'll talk about it a different time or later. Sfard would not say that. However, look at these words of the Maharal. And let's try to make it a bit bigger. Look carefully at these words. Ve'af ki yesh lochush shelo yelech b'derech ha'emes. So he's saying, better to paskin from the Gemara itself. And even though we are afraid that, listen, I'm looking into the Gemara. What do I know about the Gemara? I don't know that much about Gemara. And I'm going to be able to look at the Gemara and from that come to a conclusion what the halacha is? So why are you telling me that we should paskin and use the Gemara? You're not going to go in the right way. Mikol makam. Look at the words. Ein lechacham rak masha seichel shaloi noisen umevin mitoich hach Talmud. It doesn't make a difference. If you are competent, if you learned enough Gemara, and that's what you should be doing, so it's okay. That's what Hashem wants. Das will der Eibusher. This is what God wants. He wants you to look into the Gemara and come out with a conclusion. Ukasher tevunasai v'chachmasai titaisai, if it's going to mistake him. Im kol zeh, look at these words. Ohuv al Hashem yisparach, kasher u'moira kefi ma shemischayev min sichloi. These are amazing words. Let's say this person has a mistake. Let's go like this. Let's insert let's just go to the next page. Let's say a person has a mistake because he's mistaken because he didn't understand the Gemara properly. That's okay. As long as he's trying hard and he's competent and he's learned Gemara and he puts himself into the Gemara completely, this is what Hashem likes. Hu ahuv al Hashem yisparach kashu moira kefi ma shemischayev min sichloi. If that's what he thinks Allah is, so okay, that's great. V'hu yoser tayv mimisha paisik mitay chibur echad v'lo yada tama davar klal shahoylech k'moy iver baderach. And it's a lot better from opening up a Tur, a Rambam, a Shulchan Aruch, a Mishnah Brura was not around, and Aruch HaShulchan, the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. That's a lot. I don't know, the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, he writes more reasons, but the Maharal says over here an amazing Ashkenaz viewpoint. And I tell it to people, they didn't believe me. But then I tell them, it's the Maharal who's saying it. And let's see, where is he saying it? Nesivas Olam, Nesiva Torah, Perek Tezvav. We'll talk about all these different things. Okay, so there you have it from the Maharal MiPrague. You want to know who the Maharal MiPrague is, look it up yourself. Now you know how to do these things. So we're getting back to this. We're getting back to the difference between Sefard and Ashkenaz. The difference is, in Ashkenaz, the goal is to learn a lot of Torah. That is the goal. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be completely absorbed in Gemara, which is Torah Shabbal Peh. According to Sefard, is a completely different Svara. That's what we said from the Rimagash. Rimagash was the Rebbe of the Rabbeinu Maimon, the father of the Rambam, he's not the only one. In the Sephardic world, the Gemara is there in order that we should get the Halacha. That is the idea of the Gemara. The Gemara is there and telling us the whole process in order we should get the background. But let's take a look at the person like the Rambam. So the Rambam is writing Mishnah Torah, and he writes it without any Mekairis, without any sources. Basically, this is what he's telling you. He's telling, listen, our Shita is, we're supposed to get the Halacha. So trust me, I study the Halacha, I know the Halacha very well, I learned the Gemara very well, and oh my gosh, this doesn't belong here. I learned the Halacha very well, and trust me, I'm going to write down the Halacha, and that's it. Where did the Rambam get it from? Let's think about it. This is what the Shiur is going to be on. There are four amudim. You have a table, you have 4 legs. There are 4 legs to halacha. The aside, the foundation of halacha. The first leg is the Rif. Rabbeinu Yitzchak Alfasi, who took the Gemara and made a Talmud Katan. He made a condensed version, but he tells you what the halacha is. That's the first step. The next step was the Rambam with his Mishnah Torah, Yad HaChazaka, the 14 volumes. The next step was the Tur, Rabbi Yaakov, who was the son of the Rosh. And he put together the Tur Shulchan Aruch, the Shulchan Aruch that we have, Arachaim Yeridea, Even Ezer, Choshen Mishpat. It's the same organization, and that was taken from the Shulchan Aruch that the Beis Yosef wrote, Rabbi Yosef Karo, that we're all familiar with, is the same organization of Rabbi Yaakov ben Asher, the Balaturim, the Tur Shulchan Aruch. Okay, so we have the Rif, we have the Rambam, we have the Tur, and then we have Shulchan Aruch of the Beis Yosef, and it's all one idea. It's coming from Sefard. Ashkenaz would never dream to do such a thing, at least in that time. Why? What kind of chutzpah is this? You're writing the halacha? This is dangerous. What's dangerous about it is that people are going to neglect the Gemara. That's what Hashem wants. We should be totally engrossed in it. So you have to really come, and there's a reason behind why Sefard is doing this, but not for this class. We're going to have to end soon. So this is Sefard, Rif, Rambam, Tur, Shulchan Aruch, all coming from Sephardic lands, besides for the Balaturim. And this is what we're going to conclude now, and we'll continue in the next shiur, or the following shiurim. Besides for the Balaturim, well, the Balaturim, Rabbi Yaakov ben Asher, you could say, is a combination between Ashkenaz and Sefard. And we'll continue in the next year saying that Rabbi Yaakov, and I think hopefully you're getting the idea now, that the Tur, if his father, the Rosh, would never have left Germany, Rabbi Yaakov ben Asher would never have had, so to say, the chutzpah to write and compose his Tur Shulchan Aruch. It seems that this is going to take us another shiur to continue on this, but it's a fascinating journey, and it's pretty incredible. Please go on my website, which is shazak.com. You have a section there, Sfarim v'Seifrim. You can WhatsApp us. You'll see the lectures being put up here. I'm trying to do some other things. Email me at info@shazak.com, or you can send me a message over here, Sfarim v'Seifrim. This is going to grow just like, Emir Hashem, just like the Parsha stuff is growing, Baruch Hashem. But Sfarim v'Seifrim is a little different style, but Emir Hashem. So with this, I'm going to conclude this shiur, and this will be a hemshech, a continuation to this shiur next time. Everyone should stay safe and be well. Ten l'chacham v'yechkam oid.